Welcome back. Now, let's look at what's happening. Another state that's about to have an election is Bayelsa State. While the elections are holding with the senatorial rerun on November, the Bayelsa State would also be determining who the next governor will be on the same day. Well, 45 political parties are contesting in that election in Bayelsa State. It's been, the conversations around that election in Bayelsa State have been, for want of a better word, have been plenty. Yeah, everybody's talking because Bayelsa State is a very unique state, and some will say one of the youngest states in the country. What is the plan to move that state beyond where it is? So to help us understand what's happening, the plans and the purposes for the elections in Bayelsa State, we have Honorable Ken Okolugbo joining us via Skype of the PDP. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Neil.
We would also have joining us in a bit Honorable Julius Bukuru, who's the Vice Chairman and member of the APC Gov'ship Publicity Committee. Is joining us in our Abuja studio, but that'll be in a moment. Mr. Okolugbo, I said earlier that the conversations, 45 political parties contesting the election in Bayelsa State, so the conversations around that have been enormous. But there have also been reports of violence. I mean, we just finished discussing Kogi, and then reports, allegations of violence here and there. What's going on?
Well, the thing about it, Neil, I'm actually the publicity secretary of Bicker for Bayelsa for PDP, and we have not been briefed to have seen the type of intimidation that has been in Bayelsa. You can see that yesterday I got people to campaign for security reasons, and this is still being controlled by the state where the governor is supposed to be the chief of the state. You also remember that before now, that 17 commissioners have been prepared to Bayelsa since May 2022. And it gives the impression that there has been forum stopping used to make sure that Bayelsa delivers that us. And why it's starting some of us is where the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, handed over peace. Today, we have the helm of our federal. So all this intimidation, violence, and ahead of the elections of November leaves a lot to be desired.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Ken. Let's hear from Mr. Julius Bukuru, who's the Vice Chairman, member of the APC Gov'ship Publicity Committee, who joined us in our Abuja studio. Honorable Bukuru, thank you for joining us. The situation in Bayelsa and preparations for the elections, allegations or reports of violence here and there, how's that playing out for people who want to say they want to move Bayelsa State forward?
Well, it's a very sad situation because we have seen that the government of the PDP, led by Honorable Henry Sereki Dixon, has always banked on violence. You know, sadly, they have promoted violence to the status of a government policy. You can see that in the 2015 general elections, you know, the JTF arrested members of the PDP who were brought into the state to cause mayhem.
Honorable Bukuru, you're making very strong allegations. I hope you have facts you have evidence to this.
Yes, of course you do. You could also remember that a serving governor of Bayelsa State burst into a courthouse with thugs to disrupt a judicial process. You know, that is how sad things have become. Just last week, members of the APC were attacked at Opolo community in our rally. Then about 3 days ago, thugs, which we believe were sponsored by the People's Democratic Party, attacked Nembe community in a bid to, you know, cause uncertainty, in a way to skew the elections in their favor. In Nembe is one place that they have lost ground. So what the PDP is trying to do is that everywhere they have lost ground, they try to congest that place with violence. But, unfortunately for them, the will of the people is going to prevail now. And they cannot always have their say because Bayelsans are fed up. Bayelsans are fed up with lies, with insincerity, with misgovernance, and cluelessness.
Again, I say you use very strong words. Mr. Kolumbo, you've heard what Mr. Boku was talking about. It says violence being perpetrated by your party in Bayelsa State just because you want to disrupt the pace in that state.
That's clearly a lie. You heard clearly when the governor and the peace meeting said, and we can, that the people of Nimbi that were displaced last national elections have been there to return back to ancestral. And these people that were displaced are actually those of the PDP. And the reason they were displaced is because, you remember, 37,000 votes were produced from that senatorial district. That's that you have an APC senator, you have an APC House of Reps from South, and you have 2 assembly members from that area. It's not saying that in everything, don't get me wrong. It is a kind of violence that perpetrated in Nimbi. Wrought 13 elements that are being protected not by the security agency, outside as it is. It's already one of the traditional rulers there, house. So when somebody is talking, I mean, hey, back. When you say you are perpetrating violence, how come we didn't go to Nimbi? But the security concern wasn't because we were not popular, because they had made up and they were ready to attack Gov'ship, and certainly who controls the security agency? It's not the state governor that controls the security agency. The security agency is controlled by the federal mind. What we are saying is peace-free. Let us campaign in the different areas we want to campaign. That's what we are saying here, sir.
When you say what's going on here, it looks as if both parties in Bayelsa are trading blame. This person's responsible, that person's responsible. But what are the standards that the people should be looking at? Let me begin with you, Mr. Boku. What should the people be looking at when you're here trading blames back and forth? This person's responsible, that person's responsible.
Okay. The standards the people should be looking at is sincerity, is development, a genuine drive for change, a genuine push towards a better Bayelsa. And the people are tired of what has been offered to them. The people are genuinely, upset. You can see what happened in the 2019 general elections. The PDP has claimed for years that the APC is not in ground in Bayelsa State. But you can see that, in out of 3 senatorial seats, the APC took 1. In 5 House of Representative seats, the APC took 2, leaving 3 for them. In the assembly seats, the APC took 4, with 1 in view. We also have the presidential elections where the APC scored 119,000 votes. That is a very long journey. That is a long leap, considering how the APC started in Bayelsa State. And what that tells is that people have gotten disenfranchised. People have gotten disenchanted by the trickery and the lies of the PDP in Bayelsa State. People are beginning to look for alternatives. And that alternative, the credible alternative, is the All Progressive Congress. That is why you can see that mass of Bayelsans, both from the PDP, are defecting and keying into the dream of the APC to rescue Bayelsa State, to take us to the next level.
APC is set for the rescue. Mr. Kolumbo, he's talking about defections because the people are seeing higher standards that the APC is setting. Again, the question, what should the people be looking out for? What standards, best practices that your party is putting out?
I don't think the defection is coming about the fact that There's been accusation that one of the reasons that the election was given to the former governor, Prince Sylvia, was to make sure that he empowered people to elections. That is one of the that as it standards I is that they should look at a focus. There's been lots of improvement. And a little bit they try to condemn the development in Bayelsa. It looks as Sylvia, the Prince Sylvia.
Mr. Colwood, can you just hold your thoughts a moment? We'll take a break and we'll come back to continue this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're still discussing the Bayelsa elections beyond the voting. Mr. Colwood, you were saying something about best practice that should be brought to bear in the elections in Bayelsa.
Yes, what I think we should actually mean at this point is preaching peace. Like I was saying, I think it's strange that even when the APC people are trying to get clarity, they make it seem as if even the government of Sylvia actually nothing. Talk less of the 8 years of the two people and David Lyon. Those are the main concerns. Who is Goyegiri? This is a man that has been a member of the House of Rep and of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The pedigree of the other candidates as this held in terms of what is it bringing to bear. So the standard is clear. We don't actually give power to who has had. Again, reconciliation force is key. For example, it's the former president continue to deepen the drive towards a mega rally, which have to show people that Bayelsans are really ready to elect the 16th, and there is no divide in our party. Yes, a lot of people are happy with it. It's always the standard we have set, having 2 senators for long length, and the 2 senatorial districts clearly shows that we are ready to win these elections. If these senators won their elections not too long ago, and we have only 3 senatorial districts, why should we not be able to deliver from those 2 senatorial districts? So the truth about it is that we have set the standard. And we are not afraid, we're not panicking, but where you try to militarize the zone, we must cry out and bring it to the attention of the people. Why should they not allow the displaced people of Nimbe back to their ancestral home to be able to exercise their franchise? Why are they afraid of it? Why do they want to write the results from that senatorial district? The former president is from Ogbia. They should respect what he did. He said there is no life of a Nigerian that is worth his presidency. And they are not taking into account what that man did when he was at the helm of affairs.
You know, Mr. Bukuru, the thing is, PDP now is talking about preaching peace and ensuring that peace goes so that everybody can exercise their franchise. Is that what your party will be looking to do as well?
Yeah, definitely. You know, one very good example is to look at the party primaries of both the APC and the PDP. You know, in the party primaries that brought David Lyon as our standard bearer, it was, you know, it featured peace. There was this constant natural peace in the process of it. But while the PDP were having their own primaries, you know, it was marred by gunshots and people fleeing for their lives. You know, recently the PDP made a change in the State House of Assembly, and it was carried on national TV how gunshots were flying around and lawmakers were scampering out the windows. That is the character of the PDP. Violence, especially when they are a bit anxious about the outcome of results, especially when, in their wisdom, they are aware that the people have rejected them. So the APC has always preached peace. The APC is a party that is founded on peace. And the APC in Bayelsa State particularly has always done their business in the most peaceful way possible. But for the PDP, it's unfortunately another ball game altogether. So we will be pleading, if we are looking for a very peaceful elections, we will be pleading for our brothers at the PDP to go about it in the most peaceful, although it's not their nature to go about it in that way, but we'll be pleading for them to toe the line of peace.
How would you be telling someone to toe the line of peace and then you're already claiming that the person is not a peaceful person? So if you already know the person is not a peaceful
That is
person,
their
why
nature.
ask him to toe the path of peace?
Unfortunately, that is how they have been. We know them. That is how they have been conducting elections in Bayelsa State since we remember them.
Have you been in there?
Violence is like a selling point for them.
Because that's about the same thing they'll be saying about you too, that you also conduct your elections without peace.
Our party primaries, we did direct primaries recently, and it is, it's expected that an indirect primaries, which the PDP did, was supposed to have been more peaceful. But ours was scattered in all the local government of the states. Yet there was not one issue of violence in our primaries. But look at the PDP primaries. It was marred by violence. Because a leopard cannot change its spots. It is their nature. We are only pleading for them to suppress their natural instinct for violence and allow us to have a peaceful elections. This time, at least once in the state, they should allow the people of Bayelsa State to vote according to their, they should not disenfranchise Bayelsans with violence.
But they talked about that you guys are the ones planning to disenfranchise, for instance, the Nembe people, not wanting them to return to their ancestral home so that they will vote from there.
Well, that is just, that's complete fiction.
It's fiction?
Nembe local government area is a complete APC stronghold. They are aware of that. What are they talking about Sagbama local government area? Recently, the most powerful person in Nembe local government area defected to the All Progressive Congress, the direct younger brother to the deputy governor, the current serving deputy governor. A deputy governor that they have relegated to the sidelines. So I think that talk about the Nenje is just a form of distraction.
So your party doesn't have any problem with them returning to their ancestral home?
Nobody is displaced in Nembe local government area. There is nobody displaced in Nembe local government area. It is one of the lies, spewed from the PDP propaganda machine.
Okay, Mr. Kolubo, I don't know if you can hear me. He's saying that the Nembe displacement is not true and that they are a peaceful people, but you guys are not.
Well, you can see from his answers that he's not even convinced with what he's saying to himself. The truth about it is that not even the APC denied it, even at the meeting that they had with INEC. The only issues they raised there was that it wasn't the issue of name day that they were talking about at the meeting they had with the INEC chairman. The fact that people are displaced and are living in Yenagoa is a fact that you cannot dispute. We haven't even said that they are all PDP. You can't say that all the people displaced are all PDP. We said the majority of them are those who are supporters. That's what we have even said. And that they should be allowed to be returned to their ancestral home so that they can exercise their franchise, which is their voting right. So why would you deny people a right to vote? For him to even be saying that there are no people displaced, it just tells you what the APC is actually planning for the elections in Bayelsa. But be as it may, one thing I can assure is that Bayelsa is a PDP state. We have a former sitting president who is from there, who is going to declare boldly for the candidature of his former commissioner, Senator Duoye Diri, and he's going to be at the mega rally. Most likely we're going to have it on the 6th of November, and send the message clear to those who think that they can come and take APC by violence, that they can Bayelsa by violence.
So are you saying that the gunshots that he said were fired during your party's primaries never happened?
That's a very big lie. Our party primaries was conducted by the Taraba State Governor, and you can see that President Jonathan was the first person to vote. The disagreement we have is that some of the delegates were kicked against by Senior Alaibe, the front runner. And those issues are already being addressed. Ask himself what happened to Henike and Lokobiri. Henike and Lokobiri is the front runner. Why did they come to impose David Leon if they did not have an agenda? What pedigree does David Leon have? Henike and Lokobiri has been a former speaker of that state, has been a former minister. And today you denied him the ticket because you want to impose David Leon. You want somebody you can control. That's exactly what is happening in Bayelsa, and you don't want to face reality. What pedigree does David Leon have over Henike and Lokobiri? Their primary was fought with a lot of irregularity, and they know it. And you shouldn't call calling kettle black.
Okay, in the midst of all of this, we have just a few minutes before we go. Both of you will have to respond to this one. How should the Bayelsa people receive the both of you? I mean, both of you are being the two parties. Ken, you can answer first, then we'll go to Bukuru.
What the Bayelsa
Yes?
is to see that Bayelsa for the first time has set a record in the history of Nigeria, where you have two sitting senators being the governorship candidate and the deputy governorship candidate of a party. These people who they have entrusted already with their senatorial tickets and continue to manage the state. If they can entrust them to send them to the federal level by being distinguished senators, they can manage those two senatorial districts and add the third senatorial district and continue to deepen the development in Bayelsa. Bayelsa is a state that was created in 1996, October 1st. It is not exactly where we thought it should be, but the former governors have done quite well. I wouldn't even condemn Sylvia the way they're condemning Dixon, and Dixon has done very well. For the 8 years he has stayed, from what I have seen in Yenagoa, I may not have gone to other areas of Bayelsa, I confess, but what I've seen in Yenagoa, I'm convinced that we can deepen the development if we're entrusted with continuing the governance on the 16th of November, 2019.
Julius? Julius, what should the Bayelsa people be expecting? Why should they accept you?
To salvage our state. You know, we should be accepted because we have come with a clear mandate. A mandate to push Bayelsa State forward. You know, look, you can look at our manifesto. And even beyond the manifesto, you can look at the candidates we choose. We took our time and elected technocrats. You know, the David Lyon has been a successful businessman. And of course, Dege Eremiyo has not exactly been in the political scene. He's a technocrat which we understand has vision. Now, if you look at the antecedents of the PDP, you know, the PDP had inundated Bayelsa with lies. And that is not what Bayelsa wants anymore. Let's take one very good example of how, you know, these guys retrogressed our state. In the area of sports, we once had Ocean Boys FC, which previously in 2009, they won the Nigerian Premier League, they won the Nigerian FA Cup, and of course, the Super Cup. We had Nembe City Football Club, which about the same period won the Nigerian FA Cup and the Nigerian Premier League. But when we had this government that lacks vision, when they came in, they had nothing to offer, and they brought those two clubs, as we speak, they're in the relegation zone. There was a time when Bayelsa streets were lighted up. There was a time when we had constant power supply, especially at Ogbea. But as we speak, at Ogbea, we've not had power for 8 years. I will not talk about the legislative independence, because you know very well, you saw what happened on national television when just to change the Speaker of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, they turned the assembly complex into a war zone. We are going to change that. And the people of Bayelsa State is aware of that. They've seen the quality of candidates that we have been fielding. We are going to look at healthcare. The Dietekoki Memorial Hospital was one of the best hospitals we had in Nigeria. But this government came and destroyed everything. That place is now an eyesore. This is the first government in the history of Nigeria that in 8 years has not commissioned any road, no water project. We once had good water reticulation in Bayelsa State. But as we speak, even the State Ministry of Water Resources gets their water from Merua, these local water vendors. We once had very good infrastructure in Bayelsa State, but as we speak, nothing has been commissioned, no hospitals, no roads. The state-owned university, Niger Delta University, used to be the dream of every Bayelsan at one point in time. But today, that university has been sacrificed for the growth of the governor's personal university, which is called the African University. So you can see where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going. The people of Bayelsa State are not oblivious of this fact. The people of Bayelsa State want a system that will not keep taking them for a ride. That is why everybody, Bayelsans have resolved to choose the option of David Lyon.
All right, thank you, Julius. Ken, you've heard the things that they're coming with, the allegations about education, health, and all of that. How do you respond?
He doesn't even believe himself. Who was the commissioner of sports? Who was the commissioner of sports as at the time those things were achieved? It was Senator Dwoyejiri. He was the commissioner of sports, so he has even given Dwoyejiri a massive credit. That even teams are in relegation doesn't show that government is not working. So if Arsenal is not winning the Premier League, you say they are not working. So he's not even convincing himself. What did Obasanjo come to commission? That we saw Abdul Salami, Abubakar, and everybody. What did they come to commission in Bayelsa? What did they speak when they came to Bayelsa? I like facts. I don't like people that just come. He couldn't even present anything about his candidates. We're talking about his candidates. We're talking about the future of Bayelsa. These candidates don't have any pedigree. Let him tell me what institution the Leon has managed. None. He couldn't even speak about his deputy governor. He said he thinks. He's not even sure of the deputy governorship candidate that they are presenting because there is no pedigree. We're talking about two serving senators who have pedigree. One has been a commissioner of work before he became a senator, the deputy governorship candidate. One has been a commissioner of youth and sport. One has been a member of the House of Reps. Now he's a serving senator. So they're actually combining executive and legislative experience. And how can you take that away? You say there are no roads in Yenagoa. How do you go to Yenagoa if you say there are no roads in Yenagoa? I said it's not yet to go right. Clearly said that. But that the governments that have been part of this have done quite well. Yes, we all know that there are room for improvement. Just like I cannot even condemn the 5 years of victims. Of Sylvia. That's the same way I'll tell you that the 8 years of victims he has done quite well. But they just are blinded with this force of trying to take it by force. That they don't even want to see the positive aspect of what Dixon has done, or even what Sylvia has done, who is their principal today.
All right, finally, as we wind down, your closing thoughts, please.
Well, what I expect is we want Nigerians to understand that the government of the day are determined to capture Bayelsa. So this internal vigilance is the price we have to pay for democracy. Let all focus be on the Bayelsa election. Let there not be violence. Let there not be intimidation. Let us allow a free and fair voting on the 16th of November. That is all we are saying. The judges are normally known for peace. We know there are riverine areas. Let us not have people going to carry result sheets and writing them and coming tomorrow to celebrate that they have won elections. We want free and fair elections. That's exactly what we are asking for.
Okay. Mr. Bakuru.
Yes, before we came up with our manifesto, we did a gathering of facts from the 8 local governments in Bayelsa State. And we have seen the points where each local government, was desperately craving for. And it was in that spirit we built our manifesto. So our vision is in line with the vision of the Bayelsa people. And we have chosen candidates that they can trust. We've chosen candidates that are radically, positively different from what they have seen. So it is very, very clear that we are winning Bayelsa State. We are only hoping and begging the People's Democratic Party to keep violence away from these elections. Okay. We ask Bayelsans not to be cowed by intimidation. We are not people that will be intimidated. They may want to come with violence. They may want to come with lies and propaganda, but everybody knows the truth. Bayelsans are asking questions, and hard questions now. Bayelsans are asking why,
Thank you.
after 8 years of building the most expensive airport in the world, we are still not flying into the States. We are still flying from the Port Harcourt International Airport. Bayelsans are asking why pensioners have not been paid for 8 years. Bayelsans are
thank you.
asking where is the seaplane that the state government commissioned once upon a time. Bayelsans are asking why there is epileptic payment of salaries and why there is
Mr. Bokuru,
almost zero
we
electricity
have to
supply in
go.
the state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bokuru, Vice Chairman and member of the APC Gov'ship Committee, Publicity Committee. Thank you for coming on the show. And Ken Okolubo, Publicity Secretary of the PDP National Campaign Council. Thank you also for coming on the show. Sunrise will be back in a moment. Please don't go away.